Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Sandy, how are you?
I'm good. Now, don't you think I need a round of applause for getting up on the
Yes.
stage that way? Come on.
Thank you.
I had the unfortunate pleasure of breaking my femur, and so I'm still healing from it, but I had to be here with Luis, right?
Sandy, I really appreciate that. I mean, that says a lot, you know. So it's an honor to share the stage with you. I've been a follower of you and your work for a very long time. You're CEO of Unstoppable Domains, but I'll let you introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yeah, so as we said, I'm the COO of Unstoppable Domains. Actually, CBO now, Chief Business Officer. We keep changing titles. Unstoppable Domains is a digital identity platform. We're going to chat about that here a little bit. But I'm also the best-selling author of a book called AI First, Human Always. We'll chat about that too. And most recently, I was named by Microsoft MSN as one of their top 10 AI entrepreneurs.
Awesome. I mean, I've been following you for a while, so I've seen everything you do. You travel everywhere. You're at every speaking event, speaking about all the fantastic stuff Unstoppable does, crypto. But yeah, let's start there. I know we launched Sonic, right, and we integrated the .sonic domains. Yep. Talk about some of the stuff that has happened since then, and then we'll dive in a little bit more too about the naming of AI agents, and then we'll get into the AI part.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So anybody out here have their .sonic yet? Okay, awesome. So your .sonic is a naming service. It's a way to showcase your support for the Sonic ecosystem and the speed that they bring to the table. But it also allows each of you as an individual to be able to pay with crypto using your .sonic. So we could use Luis .sonic to pay for our drinks tonight, for example. Doesn't that sound good? Yeah, people are like, yeah, let's do that. You can also use that Sonic name as your gaming tag. So I'm a gamer. So instead of seeing your wallet address up there, maybe for Atari or Snook, you can actually see sandy.sonic up there, which for me is so much better. And then one of the things I love, your panel, I think 2 panels ago, was about marketing. So one of the things you can also do is with that .sonic, you can talk to any other domain holder, of which we have 4.5 million domains around the world. You can also have encrypted groups. So for Sonic, if you hold, let's say, 5 .sonic domains, there's a way to communicate with Louise or with Sam or with Matt in those encrypted groups as well. And I think that's one of the power plays, being able to communicate with your community. I think the community is the last form of true competitive advantage, and I think that enables you guys to do that.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to remind people we do have some .sonic domains to give out, courtesy of Unstoppable. So do chase me around, and I'll give you more information about that. Sandy, something I personally wanted to ask you, obviously through your experience with Unstoppable, it kind of revolves around on-chain identity. Through the last couple cycles, couple years, Unstoppable specifically, what have you seen in the on-chain identity space change since you've kind of entered? What can we expect? What are some of your favorite things and how it's matured over the last few years?
So I think on-chain identity has only gotten more important. I was just speaking with someone from the UK government yesterday. They're looking at, for the country, for having on-chain development and ID, because that on-chain ID helps protect citizens as well, provides the government with information if a citizen so chooses to access that or allow that data to be accessed. Some of the really cool things, though, that I think are coming up with identity, could be coming up with identity. I was just in New York, and I was with 100 healthcare startups. And one of the things that they educated me on is that one of the reasons that we're misdiagnosed a lot is doctors don't have access to all of our information. So for example, I broke my femur in Brazil. It took me 48 hours to get the information from my doctors from the hospital to Brazil. First of all, I had to call multiple hospitals. A lot of them would not give me data about me. Now that blew me away. You won't give me access to my medical records. I have to have it sent directly to the hospital. That's crazy. And given the fact that today we don't have that sharing of data across different doctors, maybe your allergist will have an impact on your medications, for example. And so one of the things I was really excited about is these healthcare startups are working on providing our healthcare data on-chain, on a private chain or a confidential chain, so no one else can see that data, because I don't want you to know my blood pressure right now, right? So that you can store that data, but then you can share the data. And you could share all the data with a medical professional. So the direct impact for me is when I broke my femur in Brazil, instead of waiting 48 hours to have surgery, I could have had my surgery immediately. So there are real impacts to that. And imagine having that in your digital ID. I think that's so powerful. Another example is your diploma. So I was talking to LinkedIn. I did not know this. Did you know that 30% of people who list a school on LinkedIn never went to that school? 30%. That blew me away. So how does an on-chain identity help you with that? Well, if you have a soul-bound token from a college that lives in your digital identity, then that is something that was granted by the school. It proves that it was yours. It's soul-bound, so it can't be transferred. And now you know for sure that that person went to that school. I just think these are really interesting, interesting cases. I'll give you one more for our school. So my daughter, I have 2 daughters, and took classes at a community university. Being a good mom, I wanted those classes to transfer with her when she went to university. So I called the college to get the records, and guess what they said? Can you fax me a request? Now, do you guys even know what fax machines are anymore?
Sandy, I've never used a fax machine.
I know.
I've never used one.
How do you find a fax machine? That was my first problem. I'm like, how do I find a fax machine? So I asked the university, why are you using fax? And they said, it's most secure, a fax machine. So I finally found a fax machine. I faxed in the information, and they mailed me the transcript. So now I have a paper transcript that I have to hold. So imagine some of the colleges we're working with, if that transcript was in your digital identity. Then you could just share it, you could keep it, you could leverage it. There's just so much power. I'm really excited about that digital identity.
Sandy, I'm going to be honest with you. You took me down memory lane right now because this is a fun fact, actually. Not a lot of people know this. When I first got into crypto in 2021, it was being a founder of an educational platform. Yeah, we use soul-bound tokens for the sake of issuing credentials to proof education. I'm a college dropout, so it was always hard to find work improving my education, but I was also part of the University of YouTube. But how can I prove that I learned something on YouTube? So we tried to tackle the idea of on-chain education through soul-bound. So it's really fascinating that you mentioned that, and it just took me back. So yesterday, we had Alex Vanovic from Nansen here, and he's from he was talking about how Nansen's leaning into the AI as well, and how you could, he said something about dashboards. People won't be building dashboards later on, but in the sense that people can chat through interfaces like, hey, pull me this metric on-chain. Now, speaking about on-chain identity, you gave us a very personal use case about medical records. What's the cross of AI and on-chain data like that? Would you think we'll be later on, hey, give me my medical record from 2021 when I broke my femur, et cetera. You think we'll be able to live in a future like that where we're chatting AI and on-chain data?
Absolutely. And in fact, right now, one of the things I find so fascinating about my job, in fact, if you had asked me 6 months ago, will you be doing digital identities for AI agents? I would have been like, what? But we are. So we now have a dot twin, and it's used to identify and provide a wallet for an agent. For example, a bank teller. You can now have bank teller 1.twin, bank teller 2.twin, and they each get their own wallets. I don't know if you've been watching what Google's done with their new payment structure, but they're enabling agents to pay with stablecoin from a wallet. So we get to name those agents and leverage those out today. So we're seeing a lot of intersection between on-chain or blockchain and artificial intelligence. I think that actually AI is going to push blockchain into the spotlight because of the trusted verification that it can bring to the table.
And this is a good segue to your book. First of all, I want to talk. It's called AI First, Human Always. You have a copy here. You could showcase.
I only got one copy because the suitcase limit, the weight limit was so. But we could give this one away if someone wants to ask a question later. Okay.
100%. First, I want to just talk about the title. Walk us through that title. What does that mean? Why AI First, Human Always?
Yeah, there's a couple of fun things. So I worked with my publisher, which is Wiley. I have chapters in here about why blockchain and AI. But they said, if you put blockchain on the title, it won't sell. AI is what's selling today. But there are chapters in here about blockchain too. So you see AI first, because I don't know about you guys, but I've gone through cloud first, mobile first. Anybody else gone through all those errors? So I think now it's going to be the era of AI first. But I don't want us to forget the humans. I think a human in the loop is so crucial as we go forward. We're seeing right now a lot of CEOs that are firing people because they think their agents can do things better, but now they're bringing people back because they're recognizing that we need a human in the loop. To write the book, I talked to 434 companies one-on-one to understand what they were doing right with AI, and I did a survey of about 1,500 to determine who was successful with AI today. So the book has a lot of great research in it as well.
I'm curious, did you talk to Shopify at all?
I did talk to Shopify.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is because I know the founder was very adamant about, hey, we're stopping hiring because we're going to focus fully AI. I'm just curious, I don't know if you could share any insight on that, if some of that's in that book.
So all the results are anonymized unless the company gave me the ability to talk about them. So I have tons of examples in here. Shopify was not one of those, and you can see publicly what they did. They said, we're laying all these people off, and now we're starting again. I'll just give you a quick kind of view of what I see a lot of people doing, and I'll use Unstoppable and what we're working on to kind of illustrate kind of those different steps in agents, if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
So with my book, anybody who buys my book gets an AI agent. So I wrote an AI agent to accompany the book. It's the first book that has an AI agent with it. Now, why did I do that? Well, if you know anything about writing a book, you have to put your pen down 9 months before the book is published. 9 months. So think about all the changes and everything that have happened in 9 months in AI. It's like, boom. And so what I wanted an AI agent that could leverage a lot of, I write for Forbes, I do a lot of research for the Digital Economist in Davos, and so I wanted all that research to continually to be fed to people who bought the book. So I created an AI agent to go with the book. It's a standalone agent, right? It's just being trained on my information. I tried 17 platforms out to build the agent, which was a great learning experience for me. But it's really a standalone agent. Also in writing the book, I decided, because I was talking to so many people, I was getting requests via WhatsApp. I don't know, how many of you guys use WhatsApp? Many of you use WhatsApp, yeah. So what I used was a platform called AI Explain. It's a no-code platform to actually create an agent to listen and read my WhatsApp messages. And if anybody requested a meeting, then the agent now integrates with my Google Calendar and will immediately schedule a meeting. So that agent is kind of interesting too, because it's now integrating with WhatsApp and integrating with my calendar. And then at Unstoppable, we decided we support 4.5 million customers, and we wanted to make sure they had the best support. We are a startup. We are a unicorn, but we don't want to just waste our funding that we got. We wanted to use it in the right places. And so what we were able to do is to level up our support team with an AI agent. And our AI agent now answers 42% of our questions, and our customer sat went up by 10 points. So if it had answered 42% and our customer sat went down, we would have killed the agent, but our customer sat went up. Why? Because it helped us to level up the team. We didn't let go of our team. We helped our team. We leveled it up. And now we're working on some other really cool agents. We have an agent right now that will help you select your digital identity. So you may want Lewis.Sonic, but maybe, like me, I'm a gamer. My gaming name is Pink Mamba. Maybe I want pinkmamba.sonic. And so this agent goes out there and it looks at who you are or who your company is, and it recommends a name for that as well. So we're trying agents at all stages of the business. Standalone, like the book agent, integrated with a couple of tools like WhatsApp or Google Calendar, integrated with a function, and now we're looking at doing that across an organization so you can have orchestration as well.
You say you're a gamer. I did not know that. Maybe we could get a Mario Kart game later today. I'm curious too. This reminds me. I want to go back a little bit. Matthew McConaughey was on Joe Rogan recently, and he talked strictly about he wants like a personal AI where he feeds it all his scripts, his books, everything, all his interviews, where he is literally chatting unbiasedly with information that he's ingested. Is that the future we're headed towards? Because the reason I ask this is because we have many leaders here, and I think leaning into the AI space in terms of expanding business corporations is very important. But some could argue that the data that we feed ChatGPT, for instance, is maybe not as safe or secure. But back to the question, do you think we're going to the future of personalized agents, personalized even just chat interfaces where I feed it my information unbiasedly, it'll give me an answer?
Absolutely. So right now I'm working on a Sandy agent. And that Sandy agent, I would feed it information about myself and the way I answer questions, my style of writing. But I want to do that in a very confidential way, right? I don't want AI to come back later and potentially try to blackmail me for something I said or something I did. So I'm still, looking for that right platform. I don't know if you guys remember Guy Kawasaki. Guy Kawasaki was the lead marketeer on Apple. He would have been great for your panel. He and I are really dear friends, so he is working on a Guy agent. Now, I would pay for a Guy agent because Guy is still wicked smart about marketing techniques in crypto and Web3 and AI. And so what he's been trying to do, and again, trying out different platforms, so none of his personal information is used in an inappropriate way, but trying to replicate who he is so that he could answer more calls and help more people with advice around marketing. So I absolutely think this is coming.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, I use AI almost every day. I'm a marketer, whether it's copywriting or ideas. So it's quite interesting. I have a 6-year-old daughter myself, so it's just going to be very interesting. She says, "Oh, Daddy works in crypto." That's what she says. But it's going to be very interesting her growing up in this space, specifically around AI. Hopefully some blockchain in there. But Sandy, before I let you go, we got a couple minutes here. Can you leave us with anything to think about regarding AI, blockchain? You've shared some very personal use cases, but is there anything that you want to share with us just to leave us thinking about the future?
Yeah, I'll do this with a story, and this is a true story. I was out last night at a couple parties, and as I was walking along, there was a bottle on the ground. And so I reached down and I picked up the bottle, and I must have rubbed it or something because out popped a genie. Now, this is a true story. You guys with me? And this genie said to me, "Sandy, this is your lucky day because not only do you get to speak on the big orange stage at Sonic and be up here with Luis, but you get 3 wishes. However," there's always a however, right? "However, whatever you wish for, your evil archenemy gets double." So I said, "Okay, Genie, let's do it." So I wished for a red Tesla, because who doesn't want a red Tesla? But poof, my evil archenemy got 2. Then I wished for a beautiful house here in Singapore. Singapore is just beautiful. I got my house in Singapore, but poof, my evil archenemy got 2. So for my last wish, I said, "Genie, would you scare me half to death?" So the reason I tell that story with the question you asked me is I don't want to scare you half to death, but I do have 3 takeaways for you. Takeaway 1 is I do think that digital identity is going to be really important. So if you don't have your digital identity today, you don't have your .Sonic, chase Luis down and grab him and get that .Sonic. We're giving those .Sonics away. 2, AI is here and it's coming. Try it out in your companies today. I call it playstorm. Don't wait. Don't just brainstorm. Don't just listen to people. Get your hands dirty and try it out. And then 3, make sure that you're looking at the intersection of AI and blockchain. For me, that is the powerhouse as we go forward.
Sandy, it's an honor. It is the first time meeting you, but thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.